The crisp mountain air hummed with the quiet symphony of the wilderness. Liam and Chloe, seasoned hikers both, had embarked on a new trail that promised solitude and unparalleled views. They moved with the easy rhythm of a couple deeply familiar with each other and with the silent language of the peaks. The path, usually a well-trodden line through the tree line, eventually led them to an unexpected sight. Tucked into a sheer rock face, almost imperceptible until they were right upon it, was an opening. Not a cave, but an impossibly perfect archway leading into what appeared to be a passageway carved directly into the mountain. And beyond the threshold, a stairway. It wasn't rough-hewn or natural. These steps were too uniform, too deliberate, carved with an ancient precision that felt both inviting and profoundly out of place. They descended gracefully into the darkness, hinting at depths unknown. Chloe was the first to speak, her voice a hushed whisper against the vast silence. "Liam, have you ever seen anything like it? It looks endless." Liam, always the pragmatic one, reached out a hand to touch the cool, smooth stone. "It's incredible. Who would build this? And why not up?" His curiosity, however, quickly overshadowed his caution. "Just for a little way, what do you say? See where it goes?" Chloe hesitated, a flicker of unease in her eyes, but the allure of the unknown was a powerful pull. "Just a little way," she echoed, a smile forming. "We can always turn back." And so they began their descent. The first few steps were thrilling, the air growing cooler, the sound of their own footsteps echoing softly in the enclosed space. The craftsmanship of the stairway was astonishing. Each step was perfectly level, the walls smooth, occasionally adorned with simple, elegant patterns that seemed to ripple as their headlamps passed over them. Time seemed to lose its meaning. They counted steps, then stopped counting. They talked about the beauty, the mystery, the sheer impossibility of it all. An hour must have passed, then another. The light from the entrance had long since vanished, replaced by the persistent beams of their headlamps, which cast long, dancing shadows that stretched into the darkness below. A gentle, persistent dampness clung to the air, and the earthy scent of stone and deep earth filled their lungs. They descended further, the novelty beginning to wane, replaced by a growing sense of remoteness. Chloe eventually paused, her voice a little more subdued. "Liam, we've been going for a while now. We should probably think about heading back up. The climb will take twice as long." Liam nodded, a slight frown creasing his brow. He too was starting to feel the weight of the downward journey. "You're right. Let's make a turnaround point here. We'll grab some water and start the ascent." They turned, but as they looked back, a strange quiet descended. The steps behind them, the ones they had just trodden, seemed different. Not gone, not exactly, but the patterns on the walls seemed to have subtly shifted. The familiar curve of the stairway they had passed just moments before now looked like a straight shot, or perhaps a different kind of curve altogether. It was as if the path they had just taken had rearranged itself, becoming subtly alien. "Did we come from there?" Chloe asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Her brow furrowed in confusion. "I thought there was a wider section a few steps back." Liam's headlamp swept the wall. "That's odd. It looks like it just continues. Maybe we misremembered. It's dark after all." He tried to dismiss it, to attribute it to fatigue or the disorienting of the deep earth. They began to ascend, but with each step they took upward, the steps beneath them felt unnervingly unstable, as if they were sinking, or perhaps the steps above them were shifting away. They paused, tried again, a creeping dread beginning to coil in their stomachs. It wasn't a trick of the light or their minds. The stairway was actively, subtly changing. The path they had taken, the one that should lead them back to the surface, was no longer there. It had reformed seamlessly into a continuous downward spiral. Panic, cold and sharp, began to prick at their resolve. They were trapped. Every attempt to retrace their steps resulted in the same bewildering phenomenon. The path behind them solidified into an unyielding wall of stone, or reformed into a continuation of the downward spiral. The only direction that allowed them progress was down. Hours bled into a timeless descent. They rationed their water, their food, their hope. The initial wonder of the carved stairway had long since evaporated, replaced by a grim determination. The elegant patterns on the walls grew more complex, more intricate, telling stories in a language they couldn't comprehend. The sheer scale of the construction was unfathomable. Who built this, and why? They walked until exhaustion claimed them, collapsing onto a broad, flat landing that seemed to be a temporary respite. Their headlamps illuminated a space far vaster than anything they had encountered on the descent. It wasn't a cavern, not exactly. It was an enormous circular chamber, its ceiling lost to the darkness above, its walls adorned with the same intricate carvings, now larger, more profound. In the center, a silent, still pool of perfectly clear water reflected the dim light. They had reached the bottom, or at least a significant pause in the descent. The air here felt different, charged with a profound stillness. There was no way back. The shifting steps had seen to that, closing off their path as relentlessly as a closing trapdoor. But as they sat there, two specks in an immense ancient space, something else began to settle over them. Not just despair, but a strange, quiet acceptance. The mountain, it seemed, had drawn them in, not to harm them, but to hold them. Their journey had become less about escape and more about understanding. What would they find in this endless downward journey? What secrets did this ancient living stairway guard? Perhaps the real discovery wasn't about reaching a destination, but about the profound shift in perspective, the humbling realization of how small we are against the ancient, unknowable forces of the world. They were no longer hikers on a trail, but unwilling participants in a timeless mystery, forced to explore the depths of their own resilience in a place where the only way forward, truly, was down. This story of Liam and Chloe and the Vanishing Steps reminds us that some paths, once chosen, redefine our understanding of direction and indeed of reality itself. It invites us to consider the unforeseen turns life can take and the remarkable ways we adapt when faced with the utterly inexplainable. What are your thoughts on Liam and Chloe's prediction? Have you ever encountered a place that felt like it had a life of its own, subtly altering your perception? Share your experiences in the comments below. And if you found yourself drawn into this story, please consider following for more tales of mystery and wonder. Until next time, keep exploring the hidden corners of the world, both seen and unseen.